Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Marshall here, to give you an early look at the map selection for 1v1 Season 9 in Planetary Annihilation. Don't forget you can play all maps not presently in the ranked map rotation in the PA Maps tab. You'll have to scroll past the legacy maps of old, but they are all in there. Don't forget to join the PA Discord, where you can join your fellow commanders in voice to create a force to be reckoned with in shared team games. Alright, let's get to the maps. Returning maps for this season start with Superbowl. The metal and spawn placement has changed, and extra layers of platforms in the rear have been changed out in favour of structural choke points instead. That being said, it's still a metal-rich area that you need to fight over. Haze returns from Season 8. A frantic close spawn gives players the option to expand away from their opponents if they choose. But they may not be expanding to safety. Don't forget the potency of units that can hover over the lava. Line is another frantic map. A small planet, but with a big spawn. Your start will dictate many things about the game to follow. There's not a lot of time between you and your opponent. Attack hard and fast to catch them off guard. Shard. Season 8's naval map returns. Starting players at opposite ends of a stretch of land, you can make a play to expand on the dry land or move out fast into the oceans, which are themselves separated by a narrower stretch of water. Maybe you want to get into the water from another route. The last returning map is Ulmost. Starting players on identical but opposite moons, you must choose where to prioritize. Invading your opponent's starting planet, the moderate metal planet Close, or No Cigar, the large metal-rich but not so metal-dense middle planet. The remaining 10 maps are all new. Well, almost all of them. If you've played some of the recent maps from my map pack, download now in Community Mods, you should recognise Snowball. It's had a couple of minor changes to the version that exists in my map pack, including the addition of a small moon. Snowball is a large planet with loads of metal and a large spawn to give you a few options to test different strategies. Be wary of the naval corridor. Great Lakes features a number of bodies of water which may not necessarily contain expansions themselves, but they could be valuable to lock down areas of land, just like the choke points in the jungles that lead to your base. Undergrowth. Overgrown with trees and understocked with metal deposits, this planet brings out the inner deforester in every player. Gather trees to supplement your economy and try to start forest fires in your opponent's base to deny them the early economic necessities. Mantle. A lava map with more metal-rich areas near the equator. Push out and claim your expansions and ground early. Be aware of the different winding paths that could eventually lead into your base. Hover units could also catch your opponent by surprise in the lava fields. Bayrange is Season 9's naval-focused map. Again, starting players at opposite sides of the same piece of land, but this time, in the centre of the horseshoe is a bay that can possibly give its owner range of the enemy's base. That being said, the mountains and plateaus should afford a little protection. Next up is Pivot. Following in the footsteps of Threshold before it, this map has a skewed symmetry with a fairly large amount of metal scattered around and in the base. What isn't like Threshold, however, is that your start is somewhat more exposed. What expansion route will you take? Castle starts players in a base area very close as the crow flies, but between you there is a large castle. Too large to use basic artillery, so you must expand away and outwards along the latitudes. Claim the chokes at the equator at the sides of the castle to put the pressure on your opponent. Twin Peaks features Twin Peaks. Both are slightly raised with a small group of metal to award those who take them. Between the peaks is the mountain pass directly between the bases, littered with icebergs and metal deposits. Be aware of the crater lake near your base. If you don't use it, your opponent might well do so. Now we come to Scavenger's Recluse, A relatively barren planet with some focused clusters of metal which may well provide bonus defensive opportunities. Just like the scavengers who came before, your initial resources will be harder to secure. But don't be reclusive too early, or you may risk giving your opponent the metal fields. Finally, we have Periculo. Another planet with dense woodland, Periculo gives players a larger spawn and an option. Do you start closer to the equator for the option to fight over the greater metal start, which are more spread out however, or do you start safer and further away from your opponent? That's all for Season 9, folks. I hope you have fun with these maps. There's a few new ideas here which might challenge you to stray from a typical build order in order to succeed. With that being said, that's all from me. I've been Marshall, and have a good one.